Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, I'm Wally Haas. I'm Executive Director of Transform Rockford. Thank you for coming to our education forum here this evening. I want to, nothing drives the long-term health of our region more than a good educational system. Education is essential to community transformation. That's why we're here tonight. We've invited current board members as well as those running for the office to participate in tonight's conversation. School board members are decision makers. They set academic policy, make budget decisions, and set the tone for the entire district. Personally, I think that school board members, out of all elected officials, are the most to be admired. They work long hours, they're under much public scrutiny, and they get no pay. So I applaud all of you who've been in the office and who vie for the office. So we've prepared 5 questions for our panelists, and they will each have 2 minutes to respond to the questions. A few thank yous before we proceed. First, I want to thank the panelists for agreeing to participate this evening. Thank you to the Reverend Copeland for being our moderator this evening. If I listed all of his accomplishments and accolades, we'd be here till midnight. The man is amazing. Thank you very much. So, and thank you to the Rockford Public Library for providing this venue, and thank you to the Transform Rockford team that helped make this evening happen. Thank you to Lonnie Iskey and Vixen Productions for recording tonight's proceedings, for viewing later on YouTube. So if you have to leave early or if you missed something, we will have this posted probably early next week. And I want to thank you for being here, showing how much you care about education in our community by your attendance tonight. I really appreciate that. Before I turn things over to Reverend Copeland, please silence your phones. We don't want to have the proceedings interrupted by ringtones or anything like that, so along those lines. So a couple other things. The League of Women Voters has a handout in the back of upcoming events that you may be interested in. So that'll be on one of the tables as you go out. And I also want to draw your attention to an event next week. I don't have it in front of me. The Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring a forum. The Chamber of Commerce is doing a Future Ready Workforce seminar at the Illinois Bank and Trust Pavilion at Aldine Golf Course, 11:30 to 1 next Thursday, a week from today. So that may be another event that you would be interested in attending. So I think that's all I've got for housekeeping notes. Reverend Copeland, you ready to take on the show? All right. Thank you very much. It's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. We have before us several sitting board members and then several candidates we want to introduce. First of all, Fort Zachary III, who is a candidate for Subdistrict D. We have Patricia Chavez, who is a candidate for Subdistrict B. We have Scott Anderson, candidate for Subdistrict F. We have sitting board member Kimberly Haley, Paul Carpenter, Nicole Bennett, Tiana McCall, and Denise Pearson. They have the questions before them, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it doesn't matter, you'll see them on the screen. There are no gotcha questions, and we do recognize that depending upon your status or your position, you will answer the questions differently. That is, sitting candidates versus those who are those who are vying to run. So we're gonna start right off. Everyone will have 2 minutes, and if you'll look straight ahead, you'll see where you'll get the 1-minute warning. And we would invite you to recognize that we anticipate you to model for our students what it's like to follow instructions. So we'll alternate ends as it relates to who will answer questions first. Everybody will answer the same question. And again, you'll have 2 minutes to do so. So we'll start down at this end for this first question, which will be directed toward Fort Zachary, and then we'll just come around this way for everyone to answer this first question. And that first question is this: give us your assessment of the most recent board. How would you ensure efficient and effective board governance for the incoming board. Sir?
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. Several of the board meetings that I've gone to since the fall, I have to admit I've been a little surprised at the public comments. Having been a teacher in Rockford for 18 years, having seen several board meetings, there seems to be a lot of teachers and parents that do not feel like they're being heard. So I've been a little surprised by that. Coming into the board, though, I always assume positive intent from everybody. Everybody is up here because they want what is best for kids. As for governance of the board, policies, bylaws, the way that the board must conduct itself, those rules exist for a reason. And as long as those rules are followed, governance of the board should be efficient, civil, and productive. Thank you.
Ms. Chavez?
Hello, I'm Patricia Chavez, and I'm running for Subdistrict B. I agree in the sense, as Fort has stated, that it is, there's policies and bylaws in place for a reason. I feel they should obviously be enforced, but also as well be a source of working together as an actual committee, as a board, and moving forward and looking forward to the benefits of the students. So I'm very looking forward to working with the board in regards to the, to find, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
It's
Take your time.
Sorry.
Take your time.
Yes, I do agree that the bylaws and policies are in place for a reason, and they should be supported as well as used, obviously, and should be the Bible, or not the Bible, but the actual backbone of the actual board. So, sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Anderson, running for District F. My assessment is concerning at the very best. Recent stats from the Illinois report card shows that we're only doing 22% efficient in reading and 12% efficiency in math. So that concerns me. That was one motivation for me to run for the board, because it just, not only, I don't know the intricate stuff yet, but right now we got to do something for our kids, because it's just not good enough. So, they're our future, and we have to just really make a solid future for them, no matter what it takes. And to run a fish, I think you got to be willing to listen. You have to be a good leader. And I think, to be able to move forward is be able to work with people very well, and that's what I tend to do. I'm a good listener, and I'm a good problem solver. So I'm going to bring that to the table, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Haley. I am serving on the school board and representing Subdistrict F. And as a current board member, the question is, was my assessment of the most recent board? I think as a team, we work together cohesively. We work together with a level of respect for one another. So when we get together and we talk about the issues that are facing the school board, we do allow feedback from one another. We listen and understand one another very well. I think we work, again, together well as a cohesive group. As far as the school district is concerned, as a large school district in the state of Illinois, I think we do have a lot of issues that we face. And those issues, Scott just kind of stated, our reading and math levels, which we are head on. We're facing those issues, and I think as a current board, we've made some headways In addressing those issues, our reading levels have come up. We have improved our on-track rates for our graduation levels, our graduation rates, as well as on track for our freshmen. And we have improved our third grade reading. So I think we are making our improvements as far as the board is concerned. I think we work together well, and we will be continuing to address those issues if, we continue to work together as a board. I think the thing is that we do just have to be aware of the trainings that are available to us to work together. And also, we regularly follow policies and look at the policies and address the issues that we may find that may arise.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Paul Carpenter. I represent Subdistrict E on the school board. Thank you for having us and putting on this presentation tonight. My assessment of the most recent board is that I'm proud of the work that we do. We have 7 committed, engaged community members who ask hard questions, who aren't afraid to get tough answers and seek to work towards solutions that we need to improve the education system in our community. The key to effective governance, I think, is communication. I think Ms. Haley just kind of mentioned that. We have a good communication with each other. We have open, respectful, honest discussions with each other, and I think that that's the key to efficient governance, and I certainly hope that that continues into the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nicole Bennett. I am board member for Subdistrict D. So Montessori, Carlson, Spring Creek, Eisenhower, Guilford are schools within Subdistrict D. I have been on the board now for almost 2 years, as has everybody that is on the current board. And my assessment of the board we are a very engaged board. We are a very dedicated and passionate board. As others have mentioned as well, we have disagreements. We have very good dialogue with one another. We're very respectful and understanding. We leave space for lived experience. One of the benefits and joys of being in sub-districts, which we're one of the few districts in Illinois that have that, is having lived experience and being able to bring that to the board from all 7 different areas of town and really lending on the experience of the other individuals on the board. In order to work in a new board with new members, one of the things that was the most beneficial to me becoming on the board was learning from the members that have been on the board longer than me, so veteran board members, and kind of learning from them and learning about them. All of us have very different strengths, all 7 of us, so lending into those strengths and things that are areas of focus and things that we know people do really, really well and can learn from them. I very much enjoyed learning all of the different areas about the board from other members, and governance in general. Something that we always remind ourselves really is that balcony view. As a school board member, our job is to, in the best way, stay up in the balcony. So make sure that we're watching all moving parts and we are being as informed as we possibly can be, but it's that governing, that guidance, that vision that we have for Rockford Public Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tiana McCall, and I am the current school board vice president and represent Subdistrict C. I want to first greet everyone in the audience. Thank you, guys. I see a lot of people in the audience that have come and witnessed us do our magic at the school board meetings. So thank you again, and it is open to the public. Like the majority of my colleagues have mentioned, my assessment of the current school board, I would say, is we're very cohesive. Like some of my previous colleagues have mentioned, we are able to work together. We are able to have that dialogue. We empower each other to ask the hard questions and to, seek those answers and dig deeper to make sure that we are getting a firm understanding of what our duties are as board members and what is needed as from the school students, teachers on up. How would I ensure the efficient and effective board governance and incoming board is just still encouraging the new members or the returning members, just encouraging them to use your voice. It is my job, I feel like, to let everyone know that they have a voice and their voice deserves to be heard. And we don't know what's going on if you guys don't come and tell us what's going on. So, so just make sure, that's one of my main keys that I push in, is to make sure that you guys can come. You have 3 minutes, you can come and speak, and I got 30 seconds. So I just want to, again, just say our board was very cohesive. We have a lot of good communication. We have a lot of good skills, and we mesh well together. I would also like to add, I'm 46, a lifelong resident of Rockford, Illinois, and I believe that this board, in my time, has been the most community-oriented board that I've ever seen. We are out in the community. We are out in the schools. We are out everywhere trying to make sure that we have, and Bobby has put up the end, so I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Denise Pearson. I am currently the president of RPS 205. Thank you, Mr. Wally and Transform Rockford, for hosting this event. Thank you, Pastor Copeland, for always being present as our community pastor. And to the audience, thank you for making the time to come out and be with us on today. To assess the current board, I would say that this is a very engaged board who seek out knowledge. We take advantage of the knowledge made for us through, whether it is through Illinois Association School Board or the Consortium of Schools. We travel, we attend workshops. We are intentional about obtaining information that will better our district. And representing governance, we represent responsibility and accountability. And that sums it up when it comes to governance. We do not take it lightly, and we are committed to working together for the greater good of our district, keeping our students number one, as we simultaneously have an ear for our teachers and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question, we'll start down at this end. The next question is this: one of the key responsibilities of the school board is to employ a superintendent. In your opinion, is the board doing well at this? Why or why not? And is there anything you would like to see the board do differently in this regard moving forward?
Okay, so this is a heavy question. Let's pick it apart. One of the key responsibilities of school board is to employ superintendent. So the first thing it is important for school board members to understand is that the superintendent is an employee on contract. And we must use our voice to help build what that contract look like going forward. In addition to that, the superintendent the board have two employees, the superintendent and lead counsel. The superintendent is the captain of the ship. That means the full operation of the district. The school board responsibility is to hold the superintendent accountable for the day-to-day operations of the district. And we must be committed to that, understanding that the relationship between the board and the superintendent is vital for the success of our district. We're not going to always agree. And we have to understand that just because there is a disagreement, it cannot disrupt the progress of our district. We have to be responsible in making sure that we are working together with expecting positive outcomes for our students. Is there anything you would like to see the board do differently in regard? Hold the superintendent accountable. He has a significant task in front of him, ahead of him, and he is responsible for many members. We have over nearly 5,000 students or employees and nearly 28,000 students. But it is our responsibility to make sure it is all working together for positive outcomes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. One of the key responsibilities of the board is to employ your superintendent. In my opinion, is the board doing well at this? Well, we have a superintendent. So I think we get a check for that because we've employed a superintendent. Is there anything that I would like to see differently in this regard? So when I joined the board or was appointed to the board in the fall of 2020, the superintendent was already into his contract and already into extension or whatever we call it, the extension. In my opinion, I feel that as a board, we need to create measurable outlines and measurable things for the superintendent to be able to accomplish. So as a board, we sit together and we kind of put together our goals and make sure that our goals are aligned with our strategic plan, make sure that that's all aligned with the vision and the mission of the schools. And we have to hold the superintendent, as Madam President said, accountable. And when he's not, or if the superintendent is not living up to the needs of the school district, then we have to be first to be able to identify where the needs for improvements are and to try to devise a plan on see how we can come together as a board and help assist him in making these goals that we've established, making sure he's accomplished them. Is there anything that I would see the board do different in this regard? I would say I've had the unique privilege of seeing the old board when it was seated versus the new board that is currently, and I believe that this new board that is currently seated is putting forth the efforts to try to identify specific goals and needs for the school district, and as well as making sure that we have a superintendent that's able to accomplish those goals. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not going to, Tiana took some of the things I was going to say. So regarding employing a superintendent, so we most recently completed an evaluation on Dr. Jarrett, which took us a little over 4 hours, and 4 hours to answer, I think, 4 questions. And we had very lengthy, very great discussion about the future of our district and what we want out of a superintendent, what we want out of our district, and really goals, as Ms. McCall stated, we have things that we measure all the time: graduation rate, literacy, things that are lovely to quantify, and we should absolutely do that. But we also need really qualitative data, so things that are about the health of our district, the success of our district, how our students are doing, chronic absenteeism, for example, all of the very nuanced items that go into a reason why one child didn't attend a school on a day, for example. So things that we talked about, new strategic plan and creating new goals for our district, and just a renewed vision, and really making sure that we have an understanding of what our community needs and where areas that we are doing really well in and areas that we are not. And the superintendent is charged with those tasks. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with everything that Ms. Pearson, Ms. McCall, Ms. Bennett said. The job of employing the superintendent means that we agree on a contract with the superintendent, and the contract should have challenging, measurable goals, like we heard. And that contract does have that, and so those are something that can be evaluated fairly straightforwardly. But as Ms. Bennett said, there's more to a school district than just those outlined goals, things like social emotional health of the students, the facilities of the district, a lot of different things that go into running a school district. So I think that we do look at all those things. I think we look at what's in the contract, making sure that we have a contract that does have challenging, measurable goals, but also keeping in mind that there's more to the superintendent's performance than those things that are in the contract. So those are the things that I think that we've done a good job doing as we've been supervising the superintendent. So that's what I thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ditto to everything everybody else has said so far. I was appointed to the board in 2022, and I was elected in 2023. When I came aboard, we had a superintendent in place, and already strategic goals were already in place. So as a board member, we are tasked with making sure that the superintendent and the school district stays on task with those stated goals. So we have seen gains in each of the areas that were mentioned as far as third grade literacy, middle school on track, freshmen on track, and graduation rates have risen by 8% in this last school year. So as a board, we're making sure that the superintendent is meeting those goals. But again, the school district is much more than that. There's our early childhood education. There's the relationships that we have with our staff and with the teachers. And we have to manage those relationships or oversee those relationships, as well as, deal with the strategic goals of the district. So as board members, we are at that balcony level. We do look out and make sure that those goals are being met, but we also address issues with our constituency. We address issues with our staff, and as well as parents and students across the districts. So as far as meeting those, working with the superintendent, we do that. We also, have a relationship with the superintendent as well as the administration. With the superintendent, we have one-on-one meetings every month. So we don't only engage with the superintendent on the board floor, we do engage with them separately to address any concerns that we may have or we want addressed, or any clarifications that we may need.
Thank you.
I do look forward to working with the superintendent to establish new goals.
Well, I think, I think for me, not being, behind the closed doors and seeing how, everything operates, I just have to take the board's word for, what they say. But I gotta say that more accountability on his part, as well as the board as well. I can't, we're doing a lot of great things. There's a lot of great things going on in 205, which is exciting. But I'm telling you, if we don't get those proficiency levels up, if we don't work on getting, to a point where we can get our kids to be able to move on to the next levels and be ready for what's in store in the future, because we're only shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't, take the steps to be able to make sure that they are set for the future. What would I do differently in this regard? I would definitely put some matrix in there to keep everybody accountable in what they're doing, and everybody's on the same page, and that's probably what I would like to see. A little more transparency, maybe. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, it's obvious by everyone's words that you're a very committed and passionate board, which is great to know. Not that I didn't know already, but it's nice to hear in your own words. I definitely feel that the board has been efficient, obviously, because there has been some improvements in our school system in several areas. Of course, there's always room for improvement. We can always be a better school district. But I am very confident that that the board will continue moving forward. The school district will continue improving as it has been. Of course, change cannot happen overnight as long as those pieces are put into place and the support of the board as well as the school district. I'm sure that it can definitely continue improving.
Thank you.
I cannot speak to, everybody else's relationship with the superintendent. I can only speak of my relationship with him. He has been in my classroom several times. I have been charged with peppering him with tough questions about what's going on at a school. My most recent meeting with him was this last month. I feel like we have a good working relationship. There are things that I feel like the board has contributed to that are good with the superintendent. The district in this last 20 years that I've lived in Rockford has definitely needed stability. By keeping the superintendent on, we've finally had some of that. He has improved the finance department. His outreach to the community has been, and partnerships with community leaders has been great. Facilities has been good. But the accountability piece, I understand that we have to stay within the contract. There's only so much, a board can do day in and day out. But I would hope that the concerns of teachers and parents are being regularly brought up with the superintendent. As a teacher, I can tell you right now that there are a ton of teachers who are not happy in the district right now. They feel discipline is lacking. They feel that interventionist minutes are not being met, and they feel like there is no accountability downtown. One principal has actually told me that in RPS with administration, you fail up. They would like to see more accountability. They feel like right now, only principals are holding teachers accountable. Nobody is holding administrators accountable. So I would like to see that change.
Thank you. We'll start back with you with this next question. We'll come around this way. That question is, are you aligned with the administration and the district's strategic goals? And can you accept a decision that is not one you favor and still support that decision made by the board?
As far as the strategic goals, there are several things that I do agree with, and I think that RPS is doing a really good job with. That would be things like outreach and recruitment. There's a lot of partnerships with colleges, Rockford Promise, where they're trying to bring in people. I do support the idea of a college and career education center. I know that there's a lot of concern with teachers about things like transportation, and I'm sure there will be kinks, but when you think about it, it is really a equitable way to build a top-notch facility that all high school students across the city can access, instead of just piecemealing it and having 5 subpar facilities at each high school, one really nice one. I support, of course, raising graduation limits, things like that. That's one of those things, though, that I think a lot of people don't realize is driven by the state. The state incentivizes districts and high schools to focus on graduation rates, to focus on freshmen on track data. Those are things, though, that a high school principal can tweak here and there and massage to improve. What they can't tweak would be actual proficiency scores. And as was stated earlier, 2 out of 10, every 10 Rockford students are proficient in literacy. Only 1 in 10 is proficient in math. And for kids going on and wanting to get into college, scoring proficient on the SAT, it's half of that. So I would like to see more focus put on elementary education, the foundation, reading, writing, math, instead of always trying to fix the outcome at the end. And even if we focused on the foundation and gave everyone an equal opportunity in the beginning, I think that it would solve a lot of problems at the end of the game.
Thank you.
Yes, I am aligned with the strategic goals that are stated. I do feel that the school district has done well in regards to the partnerships it's made with the higher education institutions in this area, as well as the career pathways, as Fort has mentioned. Again, is there always room for improvement? Yes, there is. What that is, I'll find out soon. And also as well, I would support a decision that maybe I was not in favor of, but still support it. I would trust my peers are very knowledgeable and have experience, and would believe that they are acting or were deciding on the best of the students overall.
Thank you.
Am I aligned with administration and district's goals? For the most part, yes. I know that there's a lot of great things, you know, some of the gifted programs, some of the trade stuff excites me to be able to get kids equipped to be able to move into the workforce. It is just exciting for me because back in the day, quite a long time ago, when I was a kid in the 80s, that I took a trade at Votech, and it set me up really well because I knew school wasn't in the cards for me, you know, so I knew I had to have something to be able to make a good living, you know, to be able to. So those opportunities are exciting to be able to, you know, equip kids to be able to get into the trades because we're definitely gonna need them. And it's gonna definitely help Rockford in the future, for sure. So those kind of things are exciting for me. And you know, the folks on the board, you know, I know their intent is just to do the best that they can for the kids of 205. You know, I get that. Some things I probably might not agree with or whatever, but that's for a different time. And what you know, the decisions, can you accept decisions? Yeah, I could, you betcha I could accept their decision, you know, with good, healthy debate and you know, information and everything that you need to be able to have a good conversation about the topic, whatever. Yeah, I could be okay with not being the number one guy. Thanks.
Thank you.
So my background is in education, workforce development, and economic development. So the strategic goals that the board has, that the school district has, are definitely in line with, you know, what my background is. And I totally, you know, agree with those strategic goals, but those are not the only goals that the board has, or the school district has. There's a lot that goes on with early childhood education. There's partnerships with the city of Rockford and also Alignment Rockford that addresses the need for students to learn before they even get into preschool or kindergarten, to build that foundation. So as far as my background is concerned and economic development is concerned, I think I really hold those ideas to you know, really stand behind those ideas because that's what we need as a community. We need to be concerned that the students that are going into this district, our employers are going to need those to make the community a solid community and have our economic development improve across the region. So as far as the strategic goals that have been set, those address those needs across the region for not only our Rockford 205 school district, but across the region. We have developed the CCEC, which is the Career and Tech Ed Center. That's in line with education and economic development. So that's another thing that's not a strategic goal, but it's something that's definitely going to improve the state of our region. As far as accepting anything that I haven't voted in favor of, we do work together as a board to accept any decision that has been made, but we still, as individuals, could work toward those ends where where our interests lie, and we feel I have a passion for. We can still do that.
Thank you.
Yes, I am aligned with the administration and district strategic goals, including third grade literacy, freshmen on track, middle school on track, high school graduation rates improved. I think that those goals were set, though, 5-6 years ago, if I remember right, and I think that they'll be being reassessed sometime in the near future. Not that they're not important, but just as an overall reassessment of what the strategic goals need to be. As far as accepting a decision that I don't favor, that's part of being on the school board, is that sometimes you don't sometimes votes don't go your way. You have to accept that. You have to support that. School board members are individuals and don't have any power as an individual. They only have a power as the 7 board members together. So we all accept that. And, you know, if a decision is made that doesn't go your way, you still can work in a positive way to change that decision or reassess it at some point. But it's got to be in a positive way. And I think that I think people accept decisions when they are made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so aligned with strategic goals, yes, and I think in this conversation also has to be the mission of RPS 205, so equitable education for all of our students. So through our facilities master plan that was passed last summer, all of our programmings, our mental health support, our partnership with the trades. I love, like our partnership with Habitat, for example, at Guilford, you can go and build a house. So that's just like for example, a really cool thing. But so all of our special programming, all of our curriculum to make sure that no matter which zip code you come from, where you live in our town, that you have a school that you are proud to attend, that you receive a world-class education from that school, you have your needs met, you have people that care about you, whether it's one person, whether it's 20 people, but you go there every day and you know that you matter and you know that people miss you when you're gone. So I'm very much aligned. I haven't met a person that works at Rockford Public Schools. Specifically, I'll just talk about our actual schools that do not absolutely love our children and want the very best for them and would do anything above and beyond their actual responsibilities to do that. And I feel so honored when we are able to interact with people in the buildings because it reinvigorates why you want to be on the board. Regarding a decision that I don't agree with, if anybody has watched a board meeting or attended a board meeting, I have no problem voicing my concerns. Any area that I don't agree with that I think should be done differently, I have no problem being the only no vote if that's the case. The levy is a perfect example that in Subdistrict D, my constituents did not want property taxes increased. They were not in support of the levy. I was the only board member, for example, that voted no in that regard, and I really put a lot of pressure on our finance team and other areas of RPS 205 to find that money in a different way. I didn't want it to come from individuals who pay a lot of money already that support our schools, which thank you very much, even though you don't have an option otherwise. So for example, yes, we do tough things. We make hard decisions because it's important and it matters. And that's what we all signed up to do. That's what our charge is. And that's just having respect with one another.
Thank you.
Ready? So, am I aligned with the administration district's strategic goals? I would like to say, yes, I am aligned with it. And just, if you know me, you know my passion is the Rockford community and the students and the people of the Rockford community. So I feel like I do meet that one goal. Can you accept a decision that is not one you favor and still support the decision made by the board? I would say absolutely. Like Ms. Bennett, when she gave her example, my example is when we had to vote to extend the superintendent's contract and I voted no. The superintendent was sitting right next to me. And, you know, I got outvoted and I turned to him and said, all right, congratulations, let's get to work. You know, no matter who's sitting in that chair, as a superintendent, at the end of the day, my job is to represent those students and represent the people in Subdistrict C. So I have no problem asking the hard questions. I have no problem asking the same question over and over again to make sure that there is a complete understanding of what is being proposed or what issue we have to attack. And I feel confident in when I'm stating my reasoning for different things that I want to go a certain way, I feel that I have researched and made the best case that I could. And so if I am not, you know, if I'm outvoted on things, I don't take it personally, and I know that I've given it my all, and I just, you know, step back and try to find another way to get it back in there and try to make those improvements come another way. So I think that I've answered everything on number 3, so we're going to move on.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am aligned with the administration and district strategic goals. However, I always ask the how, and how are we going to do this? So when we look at, are we being successful in meeting those goals? So just as an FYI, we have like 47% absenteeism. That would definitely impact the ability to achieve those goals. We have high mobility rate, so students move frequently. All of those are contributing factors that determine if we would be successful in meeting those goals. So it's easy to look at numbers on a paper and determine, come to a conclusion that RPS 205 is not doing what they should do. But you have to look at the whole picture and those things that feed into it. We have high behavior issues. Why is that? So we have to address those issues. We have to make sure that we are effectively dealing with that and offering schools and teachers support in being successful in that. It's just not enough to send our kids to school and leave it at that. We have to meet them where they are and be effective at solving some problems. In terms of, thank you, in terms of do I support the decisions that I didn't necessarily agree on? Absolutely. I think we have our voice and we use our voice. I think that if you're not going to support, that you should have a legitimate reason and not just say no because you can say no. But how would that, what your view and how that would affect the outcomes that we're looking for? So having said that, no matter what the circumstance is, we cannot lose sight on our ultimate goal, which is helping our students be academically successful.
Thank you. And so our next question, we'll start down here at this end, Madam President.
Yes.
The district has engaged in various strategic initiatives to attract and retain sufficient excellent teachers. What do you think has been most impactful, and what improvements would you recommend?
So as we know that it is not a secret that being able to attract and retain teachers is a global epidemic. However, for RPS 205, we have pathways to become teachers, and we are investing in our own. Parents can go back to school and become teachers. We have pathways set up in place and we grow our own. We have a partner with Central State University. If you all remember, over 2 decades ago, if not more, there was a significant shortage with nursing and RNs. And we are faced in the educational system with that same challenge. I am confident that the pendulum will come around and there will be a time that teachers, individuals will take more interest in becoming a teacher. However, there's things that school district must be able to do. And we have to make it attractive for students. The last time I sat here, and I will always advocate for more pay for our teachers. It does not take away the sacrifice that they make every day and what they have to endure during the day. But we need to make sure that we are giving them an opportunity to grow in the space that they're in. So it is not enough to have all of these programs, and once you get them, and if you're going to retain them, you have to be willing to invest in developing them. We understand that the non-tenured teachers in our district may not get but 1 year to teach, and that is simply not enough to develop our educators. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, what Madam President has said, there are several partnerships and initiatives that are in place to try to attract new teachers. I feel like the most impactful thing that we have at RPS 205 in the district is the fact that we are growing our own and we are having pairs and new teachers come in and get into like principal roles and things. We have that type of leadership to attract and to encourage staff to, get higher in their education and higher in their learning. Of course, there will need to be improvements. Yes, we have a partnership with Central State University. However, there are thousands or hundreds of historically Black colleges and universities. We have a full teaching university, not too far at Harris Stowe State University in St. Louis. The thing is, I feel that we are working really, really, really hard, and we are empowering the community, empowering the teachers we have, empowering the staff we have to take that next step and to join the workforce as a teacher of RPS 205. What I would recommend is just to keep knocking on the doors for more opportunity. We have some things that are successful, but that's not enough. So we have to find additional creative ways to try to attract and retain more qualified teachers. And what I do like that RPS does is we understand that it's not just an RPS problem, it's a whole region problem where we can't attract teachers if we don't have housing for them. We can't attract teachers if they don't feel safe to come here to Rockford. So we're working really, really hard with our partners to try to improve that. And my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
So multiple pathways were already discussed, so I won't rediscuss them. But I think it's just really important to mention how much effort has gone into making it be that we have significantly more individuals in our building that reflect our students and have lived experience that can be poured into our students. But I also think the retention piece is also pouring into our teachers. So making sure that our buildings are safe, making sure that we find ways to address behavior. We increase mental health supports in our building, not only for our students, but also for our staff. I think also a really good partnership, I know the question says teachers, so I'm gonna break the rule a little bit, but a pathway specifically for social workers and other individuals that are not just teaching. So we know that support services in our building are essential. They are required and absolutely a benefit to all of our students. RPS 205 has done a really good job in all of our pathways with collaboration. So through a collaboration, for example, with the Winnebago County Mental Health Board, Rockford University, Rock Valley College, University of Illinois College of Medicine has created a pathway so students can learn about social work, learn about mental health while they're still in high school, and they can transition to a 2-year, a 4-year, 6-year degree to become social workers. And they're students that are our students that want to come back here and they want to be social workers here, for example. And that's no cost to RPS 205, it's just a really good collaboration. Same thing with Rockford Promise, it's a collaboration. It's the city working together, it's RPS 205 working together and putting the needs of our students and our community first, but all getting together to figure it out. The issues that we have are not unique to just our district, but it is gonna take everybody to solve them. It's not something we can do on our own, it's not something the 7 of us can do alone, and it is so important to have those experiences of individuals to all come together to really solve our shortages of all staffing across the district.
Thank you.
Yeah, the efforts by the district to recruit teachers is it's amazing. It's one of the most impressive things that I've seen serving on the board between the pathways with Rockford University, NIU, Central States University. The district has a war room where they find students who they think could be good teachers and recruit or work on recruiting them as young as high school. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned is paying student teachers when they come and student teach and we're able to pay them. That's a big deal to me. I think that to a college student who's a teacher and comes here and says, oh, these people value me enough to pay me while I'm student teaching, that's, I think, very helpful. That shows those people that we want them, we respect them, we value them. I think that, I think those are all important and impactful. I think that, money is not, money is an important thing. Like, everybody wants to be paid fairly, and I support that. Of course, the teachers need to be paid fairly. And this question is for teachers, like Nicole said, but it's also goes to all staff in the schools, whether it's paras, whether it's social workers, whether it's bus drivers. Everybody needs to be paid fairly. We're competing with a lot of other people for a limited resource of employees, and so we need to make sure that we're paying people fairly, adequately, so that they can make a real living. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it already has been mentioned, the RU pathway, the NIU RISE program, NIU LEAP program, and the Central State collaboration. So we have those programs in place where we are attracting new teachers. We also have the Grow Your Own, and that has grown phenomenally over the last few years, where we have more of our students that are graduating are going into teaching, and they're getting that free education, and they're leaving their college career without being in debt. So that's a positive, and how we attract teachers to our district. Another positive has been mentioned is that we pay our student teachers. So that's one thing we do. We also provide housing to our new teachers that are coming into the district. So we do offer that as an incentive for students to come teach in our district. For teachers that are here, new teachers that are in the district, they are paired with a mentor. So for that first year of teaching, they are supported in the classroom to help them along and to make sure that they have they're following their curriculum and they have good classroom management skills. So we do have those different things in place to support our teachers. Again, we work with our teachers to we pay attention to the other districts and what their pay scales are. So we want to be competitive across the region. And I think that as a district, we are doing that. And we're working with the teachers to understand that teachers don't necessarily go into the teaching industry for money, but it doesn't hurt to be paid well. So we do pay attention to not only the teachers, but we want to make sure that they have enough support staff around them, and that as a board that they're listened to. So I think we have a lot of good things in place to attract and retain our teachers.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's exciting to hear a lot of the good things that are happening. I think it's just a high five to the board on the initiative to further your education, to stay into the district and improve yourself as well. But I need to shout out to the teachers as well. I want to just thank each and every one of the teachers in our district that are excellent to me in the first place. I think for what I would do different, to be able to attract, I think one thing we definitely got to look at, we have to look at the discipline. I hear that from a lot of teachers that's a real issue. So I mean, if you're not going to bring anybody in if they're not going to like to come here because of a disciplinary thing, right? They don't know, they don't take care of the teacher, and you got to go to work and be scared or whatever. They don't know what's going to happen because there's no real accountability, I guess. So that would be something that I would think I would have to come up with. We'd have to dialogue and talk with folks and find out what would be the best solution to be able to not eliminate it, but to be able to make it more appealing, that they wouldn't, that they would want to come to Rockford and not have that piece hold them back, So that's the thing that really kind of sets with me, and that's what we need to take a look at. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, many of y'all have already stated a lot of things that I was going to point out. But I would say that what I feel is most impactful and impressed is the collaboration and partnership that this district has done with like Rockford University, NIU, and other higher education institutions. I definitely would like to see that to continue and new creative ways expanding among other institutions as well as organizations. I am very proud that Rockford is investing in their own, which is important because that's how we keep them here, right? Knowing that they're valued and that they're worth investment. So my suggestion should just be trying to find new creative ways to continue to keep our students here, to keep our citizens here returning and partaking in our community as teachers.
Thank you.
Really quick, let me go back to the last question about supporting a decision that the board made. I didn't really address that. I just want it known that, you know, when you win or lose an argument, the board votes. Once the decision is made, you take an oath, you support the decision. You gain nothing by undermining your colleagues. As far as the initiatives to attract and retain, you know, teachers, all of that has been, you know, gone over up here. I think that the district has done a lot of good things with that. My daughter last year being paid to student teach, like that was unheard of when I was trying to, you know, break into teaching. But one of the things that was set up here 2 years ago was that compensation attracts talent. It's culture that retains it. Compensation-wise, RPS is not the highest paying district in the region anymore. And pay is a real issue. When I started teaching, I made about $34,000 a year, adjusted for inflation. For me to have the same buying power that I had as a brand new teacher almost 30 years ago, a brand new teacher would need to be making $69,800 a year. My daughter's starting pay this last year in another district, which is, you know, the equivalent basically, you know, of here too, is $42,000. Culture. Again, student teaching in the district, she was sent to numerous schools to go interview. There's, you know, a lot of good things going on in the district, but for every school that every downtown administrator that said, go to this school and interview, 5 teachers called or texted and said, don't let her go there. The culture, discipline, the things going on, teachers not feeling supported, that really needs to address, because all of the great things that you're doing to attract teachers is going to all be for naught if teachers don't feel supported, and right now there's a lot of them that don't.
Thank you. And here's our last question. We'll start back with you. And that is that federal, state, and local revenues are expected to be relatively flat. I think that's an understatement in light of what's going on as it relates to the Department of Education and some other things. In this environment or in that environment, what efforts do you envision to ensure that the district has a balanced budget, can manage new investments, and is competitive in the marketplace where labor costs are rising?
Okay, so previous question, I addressed labor costs. You know, my wife and I are career teachers, and we finish in the red now every month. Teachers need to be paid more. At the same time, property owners can't be taxed anymore. I know that the district has done a really good job of holding property taxes level, but by percentage of housing value, Winnebago County is still one of the highest property taxes in the country. So you need to be creative with where you're going to find and maintain your financing. You bring up the Department of Education. It's stunning to me that there is such an argument about wanting to cut inefficiencies. One of the first things that was disclosed a month ago was things like the Treasury Department catering in sushi for $1.3 million a year. The Department of Education's budget this last year was $268 billion. Only 25.4% of that then got spread out to the states, which means almost $200 billion stayed with the department in Washington. The last time I checked, kids don't go to school at the Department of Education. You could cut their budget by 75% and states could still get the same amount of money. Or you could take that annual budget and just give it to every kid under 18 years old, and they would get $3,671 a year until they were 18. That would be money better spent. And to think that that's only happening at the federal level and not at the state level, the state this last year got $2.2 billion from the federal government. $130 million is what made it down to Rockford. We need to look for inefficiencies, and that's how we can pay for things without burdening the taxpayers anymore.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, my background is in finance. I'm a financial analyst, actually, by profession. So this, to me, as we say in Spanish, is mi mero mole, right? It's my main thing that I work with day in, day out. I find when we look at budgets and we look at ways when we're limited in the budget that we have but still trying to improve and grow, it's an opportunity. It's unfortunate as well, but it's also an opportunity to look at to break things down and look at a bigger picture and what has value. What has been bringing value to our district, what has been bringing value to our students. And it allows us opportunity to also be creative, to be creative and find new methods in how to supplement areas. But more than anything, it allows us to really look at what has value, what has been working, and what needs to either be reduced or be actually eliminated or maybe. But I do feel that it does give the opportunity for the district to create or find and research new creative methods to balance the budget. So I look at more as opportunity instead of a negative, I guess you could say.
Thank you.
I think for me, I'm along with what was said earlier about efficiencies and going through what works and what don't, get rid of the stuff that don't work and make more efficient the money that we do have to be able to put towards education and the important stuff. For sure that labor costs are a big part of the money for sure, because people, to attract teachers, you got to get paid. You want to be able to make a decent wage and make a good living, with the money that you receive. So, that's one of my strengths as well, being part of the Steelworkers Union for 39 years, that I negotiate in teams and stuff like that. So it's not an easy thing. So I think it would be wise for us to take a look back and doge our budget as well and see where we can save the money and be able to put it, like I said, toward the things that matter. I'd like to jump back to 4 real quick about what improvements could you do in the district and initiatives and attract and retain. Take the load off of the teachers as well. They're forced to wear many hats, and that kind of detracts from attracting probably some of the best teachers around. And I'm not dogging our teachers at all, man. They're outstanding, and they do a really super good job. But yeah, so I think that would be the biggest thing, in my opinion, is to see where you can tweak and save money and be able to pay and still balance the budget and not have to raise our taxes, because I know each and every one of us that pay taxes, get a house or whatever, man, they feel it, man, and you don't need to raise that anymore. So the more we can balance that budget and keep that where it needs to be, because we're what, second largest tax district in the state. That's not good.
Thank you.
You got challenges. Thank you.
So as a public school district, we do receive monies from the state and from the federal government, and there may be some efficiencies that could be found in looking at those budgets and how that money is spent. But I think we do need to look and cut with precision. There are a lot of programs that are out there that we spend money on as a district that are vital to our students, in our special ed programs, in our social, emotional learning environments. We have money going into transportation. So yes, there does need to be some cuts somewhere, but we just can't not just go at it with a hatchet. We have to look at cutting those programs and looking at our budgets with precision and making sure that we're getting rid of the things that we don't need, but we're addressing the needs of our students with programs that we do need. So as a school district, when we ran out of ESSER funding, the money from COVID, we made a lot of cuts. We looked at programs that were working, that were funded through those COVID dollars, and we kept those programs. We made partnerships with community partnerships such as the YMCA, the Rockford Park District, and the city of Rockford. So making those partnerships and trying to maintain the programs that we do have and get rid of the stuff that we don't need, that will help us. We have always maintained a balanced budget as RPS 205, and we work well with our finance department, and we review whatever costs that are going out, and we look for places where we can cut. But again, we have to do that with precision and not with a hatchet.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I look at this question, I think, I read it as, how are you going to pay teachers more when there's no more money coming in? And I think that if we all had the answer to that, we probably wouldn't be here. We'd be doing something else. But so what we have to do, that's a real question. We have to look at it. One thing regarding federal, state, local revenues, the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, federal law, states that the federal government is supposed to pay 40% of special education costs to the districts. I think right now it's 13%, if I remember right. And, that's federal government money. And so we assume that that's not going to be getting better in the near future. And I think that there's, millions of dollars of waste in the Rockford School District that's going to give the teachers and other staff members the needed raises. I think that that's probably wishful thinking. One of the things that we have been working on to come up with some additional money or to reduce some spending is working with our state legislators in trying to reduce the amount of money that the district has to pay for teacher retirement increases that are being paid because we're short-staffed. And so teachers are taking extra assignments and we have to pay extra money towards their retirement fund. We're working with state legislators to hopefully eliminate that penalty that would save the district over $1 million a year. So I think that we have to look at things like that for ways to reduce some of the costs that the district incurs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul cheated off of my paper, just so everybody knows. I think lots of people have had really good statements to say, and I think we continue to talk about teachers, which teachers are lovely and amazing. They make up the largest amount of our staff, but I also want to make sure that we remember all the different individuals, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, nutrition services, office professionals, administration, social workers. So when we're talking about more money to teachers, that's great, but let's also let's be equitable across the district, that everybody would like to be paid a livable and comparable wage. But for this, I think it really requires us to be creative and to be collaborative, and I keep saying that, but it really is what is required. So, for example, working with our legislators, and when we come to them with a concern, they're instantly like, how can we help and what can we do? So making sure that we are advocating, that our voices are the loudest in the state, and money needs to come to Rockford, and we need to advocate for that. So for transportation, for example, one of the #1 reasons that students are not attending school or have issues with attendance is transportation. So working with legislators to change the formula to make the distance shorter so we get reimbursed more money. For example, we can pay for more buses, more routes, more students can attend school, just for example. That's no money in RPS, that's just advocacy and working with our legislators who we all have elected to represent us. Same thing with mental health support, same thing with all kinds of different intervention programs for behavior that we've discussed, because there are lots of concerns in our classroom that teachers deal with, and we want to support them and support students. Same thing working with our finance team and getting creative with the partnerships we have. So there are, let's just say, 100 organizations in our town that work with youth, for example. So just letting them have the space to do their programming, that they already have funding to do those services, right? Just letting them have a space to do that. Access for our students for services. Students are, it's something like, I don't know, 7 times more likely or something to access services if it's provided to them during the 7 hours that they're in the building. It's more grown-ups in the building, more support for our students and our staff, and so it's just being creative to collaborate to solve our concerns.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to just first say that I'm in agreement with some of the things that my colleagues have said, but I tend to take a more realistic approach to things. As the committee chairman of the Planning and Development Committee, we handle things such as the budget and the facilities master plan. One thing that I always want to do is make sure that we are over-informing our constituents in the audience. So there's no such thing as, we can't make our own money. So one of the things I like to say, it's like, for example, with the facilities master plan for one of the schools or something. For an example, if this pot of money's run out and you have this pot of money and it's only a little bit in it, but you have this whole need, how are you going to be able to do it? So I always tell them, put everything out on the table. You can do this, you can raise taxes, you can not raise taxes. This is how it will look if it is taxes increase. This is how it'll look if you do it this way. I make sure that everything is put out so nobody's thinking we have some magical pot of money that we can sit and just like, oh yeah, we're going to pay everybody more, but where's it come from? So I like to be more practical and let them see, like, this tax would result in this if we have to go there, because at some point you have to have those hard discussions, and I don't want it to come out of, like the blue, like, oh yeah, well, we said we was gonna, give all the teachers and everybody raises and everything, but from where did the money come from? So this is how I like to make sure that people can see how these dollars are affected by this purchase or by this statement. So I always want to make sure that that it's out there and that you can connect the dots, so that there's no imaginary or no thing that, like, oh no, we don't want to pay teachers money, or no, we definitely don't want to do this. You have to realize, like, yes, we all want to do things and we all wish everybody wants more money. That's just the way of the world, right? But you have to make sure, that you see a realistic path to the needs from what we have with the funds that we have. So I just want to say that. And also, they stole a little bit of my thunder, but also you have to engage your legislators. That's why you vote for them. And when we all working together, we can advocate for the things that needs to come to our region and to our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we all know that there is a threat on public education that have been made known nationwide. So we are challenged, and it is important that we take a closer look at what we're spending our money on. We cannot afford to just come up with a great idea and not able to financially support that. So the board, we have our governance committee, we have developing, planning and development, we have performance and monitoring, we have stakeholders committee. And so within those committees, I think that we can, as we work with staff liaisons, the school superintendent, we're gonna get to a point that we have to take a look at how we're really spending our money and the fund types and what monies that go along with those fund types and how we can be supportive within those fund types to make sure that we are meeting the needs that we need to meet to be successful as a district. Also, there is if on the federal level is successful And I understand that bills are being presented and hoping to be passed, but just because there's a bill does not necessarily mean there's money associated with that bill. And it is, we, at some point, will have to have a conversation on, will we use reserve dollars and for what? And the board need to consider having that conversation sooner rather than later, because we have to meet the needs of our students. We have high poverty rate in our district. So while we serve at large, we have sub-districts, and every sub-district is unique in its own way. So that there's a threat on the Title I funding that is made available to meet the needs of those that is economically strained. So having said all that, we have been good at keeping the budget flat. Shout out to Greg Brown, our CFO, that is doing a phenomenal job with that. But I think that in the coming months, not year, we really need to have a conversation on identifying, are we being, is there waste present that we need to take a look at and what that is? And at what point, if there be any, that we have to use reserve funds.
Thank all of you. Can you join me in thanking all of our panelists, candidates, current board members for doing an excellent job? And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Haas.
Okay, we have time for one question from the audience. Parents and teachers complain about class decorum and bad discipline problems at Eisenhower Middle School. What is the situation and what are you doing about it? And we'll start with Ms. Pearson.
Can you be a little more specific? Repeat the question, please.
Okay, the parents and teachers complain about class decorum and bad discipline problems at Eisenhower Middle School. What is the situation and what is being done about it?
That is Sub-District D.
Okay.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
you want each of us to answer that?
No, I just, whoever,
Well, let me say this.
I was
Let
going to
me-
say,
let-
I'm able to answer.
go ahead.
Let me say this. So the discipline issue is not isolated to Eisenhower. That's number one. And number two, you cannot expect the school district to fix every problem. I would like to know why specifically was Eisenhower indicated, and what is the real question in terms of that, because it's not isolated to Eisenhower. And Ms. Bennett.
So I'm just going to answer the question as if the question was answered in current time. So if somebody's asking in this current moment. So as everybody knows, Eisenhower has suffered an extreme tragedy. So I have been inside Eisenhower multiple times over the past few weeks. Mr. Carpenter has also visited Eisenhower. We have sat with administration. We have sat with teachers. We've had ongoing conversations with the teachers union in particular, with students. And so their building is extremely hurting. Their building is in need of healing. And students, as we know, when they are struggling, when they are needing support, they can either internalize that or they can externalize it. At this current moment, there are lots of behaviors at Eisenhower. There are lots of added supports inside Eisenhower. Every given day, there is an assessment done at the end of the day of what Eisenhower needs, with families, with teachers, with students, with staff, extra supports all throughout the district. Other buildings have lended their staff to Eisenhower to provide more support. So additional counselors, additional social workers, additional MTSS support, administration, district level staff who are working inside Eisenhower just to be on call. So there are behaviors, there are lots of concerns within the building, but we are doing everything we can. We are in constant communication to make sure that students are getting the services that they need, including grief support, and just really making sure that we are listening to the building.
Okay. I want to be respectful of everyone's time here. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for the audience to show up, being here tonight. Thank you to all our panelists for a job well done. And That's the end of our evening. Again, there's a flyer from the League of Women Voters with upcoming events, and I want to draw your attention to the Chamber of Commerce event next Thursday at the Aldine facility. So with that said, hey, thank you all for coming, and have a good night. I'm Wally Haas.